All right, guys, welcome to the first of my warp speed games. So one of the frustrating things about this game, especially as a spectator game, is that it moves so very slowly. So I'm going to try something new here. It occurred to me that each of my videos captures a snapshot of the game. So what we can do here is in a relatively short video, go from the very beginning of the game to the very end of the game. So this was a Dominion domination game in Mesopotamia. The intention is to get 4 of these 7 oil fields, so only one person can win. If one person has 4, the others have 3 at the most. So it's a challenging game. There are 80 people in this game. Only one can win. There can be alliances, but those alliances tend to be flimsy, although some strengthen into something more meaningful. However, the fact is only one person will get gold marks at the end of this game. Only one person wins. So typically, I would start, say, in the middle somewhere in the pack, and I would make my way to the first oil field, and we'd all be racing towards it, and I'd try to gather and capture it. And then if I was successful in capturing it, there was always a chance that some noob would attack me along the way. Now, if you've not played this mode before, you don't want to attack other player characters. The reason being, you cannot ever attack back into the home 8 territories. It's impossible to take them, therefore it's impossible to win a war. So even if you defeat your enemies, they'll never go away. And what happens is eventually they give up, the AI takes over, and then you have this persistent AI that's just growing troops and occasionally attacking you for the rest of the game. It's infuriating. So my strategy was to go directly to the island and attack to this oil field, feeling like I would be insulated from the noobs, at least for longer into the game. So hold on. So this is a little bit closer of a view of what's going on here. I'm just marshaling all of my troops to this single territory. This is a big, long territory over here. There's another territory here and 2 more here that are sort of adjacent to my homeland, although this one is not adjacent to my homeland. It's worth saying. You can see it has to go through here to get in. And so my plan was to only expose myself in one territory and then get directly to the island and attack over. Okay, here we are a few days into the game now, and you can see I still have my 4 cannon. In this mode, you start with 4 cannon, and most of my troops here, if you're very, very careful, very, very cautious, you can keep your 4 cannon. I often say if I lose one of my cannon, I just archive the game and try again. It's that concept of early success. If you succeed early, this game has an exponential nature to it. That is to say, you pick up speed, you keep getting better faster. And so if you get knocked down early, you probably had a game like this. You get knocked down early and you just never quite recover because the other players that didn't get knocked down have such an advantage over you. So things are going well here. You can see I'm attacking with my cannon, holding the middle ground here, and I'll just continue making my way to the first of my oil fields here, there into Crete. All right, a couple days later, and you can see things are going well according to plan. Attacking in the middle when I can without cannon, and then taking the sides, the flanks here with my cannon. So, losing a few guys, but it's okay because the more I capture, the more territory I capture, of course, the more infantry I'm going to be generating back here, and pretty soon I will be able to make my own cannons, and we'll see those on the map pretty soon. Okay, so again, a few days later here now, and you can see I'm definitely not to day 12 yet. There's no cannon on the board. That's usually when the earliest you can see cannon, day 12 or day 13. So we're before that landmark, that benchmark, I should say. But you can see I've captured up to the edge here. And so the question is, am I ready to attack in to this territory? And here we are zoomed in a little bit closer on that same day. You can see I have 4 cannon, all my 4 original cannon, and 70 men there. And I will tell you definitively that is not enough to attack in. Not to mention the fact that I still have to have people kind of on both sides defensively, because I'm now, once I go to war here, I'll be at war with the garrison army as well as this exterior army. And the AI is pretty persistent. They will send counterattacks, especially when you attack into this garrison. It is a big army in here. And I'm not sure if anybody can back me up on this, but I believe the island garrisons, although they still have 5 territories like the quadrant garrisons have, I believe the island garrisons are a little bit tougher than the quadrant garrisons. And then Baghdad, of course, is a hellscape. Very difficult to attack into Baghdad. All right. Okay, you can see by this day, I believe this is the 5th video. By this day, I've got 100 men here now. I just keep on streaming people forward in my 4 original cannon. Still no other cannon on the board. But you can see that thing I was talking about. The AI will run people into attack, so I have to leave people in all possible entry territories. So in this case, it's 3 of them, as well as this adjacent to the oil field troop here. I'm still gathering people, and at this point, what I'm asking myself is, should I encircle and attack, or should I just attack from one specific place? And the reason for this is, if you encircle an attack, then you have to defend all of these territories, because this massive army in here will attack out in whatever direction that AI randomly chooses. So you've got to stack each of those with forts and at least 20 guys, and sometimes that's not even enough. So the decision in my head right now is, do I stop expanding, right? Just stop expanding now and send everything to one specific entry point here so that he can only counterattack back into this. Keeping in mind that although this island army is, it's a big army, it's not as concentrated as this army. So I'm not as threatened by these red adjacent provinces as I am from what's about to be unleashed from in here. So that's the decision making that's going on right now. Okay, so obviously at some point, probably in the last video, I didn't look in the back country, but probably in the last video, I had generated 3 more cannon, and then I went ahead and built a factory, I believe right here, and built another cannon. And it's funny because I was actually able to build a factory and a cannon in the same amount of time that it took the other 3 cannon to come all the way back from my homeland. So you can see I now have 8 and 136. I still have not captured these adjacent. And at this point, I'm thinking I could probably capture this. I could probably take this. All right, and as you can see here, by this stage in the game, I'm getting cheeky. I'm building a tank as well as 2 infantry. So I'm really going to stack that front as heavily as I can. So at this point, it's like I've got lots of stuff. I've got 8 cannon at the border and almost 200 infantry in the area. But it's sort of this everlasting thing of like, yeah, but there's 2 tanks. I'm sorry, two artillery and a tank building. I should wait for them to get there, And so at some point, you just got to go ahead and attack, even though you've got more stuff developing in the backfield. All right, this is the 7th video in the series. And I'm going to start with kind of a big picture thing and then zoom into so we can see the units on each of these. So what's changed here is I went ahead and captured this territory here. And part of the reasoning was this. As long as I had these 2 that were adjacent to me, I had to defend 1, 2, 3 territories, this one, and this one. And now that I've captured this one, I really only need to defend these 2, this one and this one, because this one is defended by that stack of guys who I've got growing in there. Now, what I did, you can notice that the Tikrit oil field is officially red. And I've done this many times before, and I've had people claim that they've done it successfully. I always want to kick the Hornet, but the AI is too smart, the Hornet's nest. And what I mean, of course, is send in like 5 or 10 guys and attack, and then hope that they counterattack. Because the AI always counterattacks when you're losing. So believe me, I've attacked into these oil fields, got my butt kicked, and then the AI counterattacks outwards and starts taking over all my backcountry. So it will counterattack, but there's got to be some threshold that the programmers have put in to where they won't just come out with small probing attacks that you might make. So I'm officially at war with them. That's not concerning because I'm growing my stack here. Let's take a closer look at that stack. And there we go. Look at that little beauty of an army. 140 infantry, 14 cannon, 7 tanks, and 1 armored car, that one little guy. By the way, it is always nice to have a fast unit in your stack, because once you bomb out a territory, run your fast unit in. He'll take that territory a lot quicker and turn it green. And of course, once it's green, the rest of your stack can come in at full speed. Remember, when you're on enemy territory, you only go at 1/3 speed. So that helps to speed up the entire conquering process. I usually try to have 1 fast unit somewhere in there. Now, I probably could attack and take this territory right now with what I have. But what I don't like is the lack of infantry. I like to have 200 infantry going in. So I'll be honest with you, it's been so long. I mean, I just finished this game like 3 days ago, but it's been so long since I was at this point, I can't remember if I attacked in or not. So we're all going to find out together. All right, so you can see here, I did not attack in. In fact, what happened is, you can see, I froze it on the screen. I've already killed 46 of these fellows. So the 14 left means he sent in 60. Sent in a massive side attack against me. And, the AI be doing that kind of stuff. Um, it can be very frustrating. It's like, why is he so brilliant all of a sudden? Because I want to mass all my stuff here, and he sends a big stack of 60 over here. But part of me is rejoicing because whatever happens down here, I fended it off. I had to send down 4 cannon to sort of to tidy things up. But whatever's here is now 60 infantry weaker. So I'm kind of liking that. Let's zoom in a little bit on this main central attack stack. All right, so here that stack is zoomed in here with 13. There's a cannon coming in from here, and there's another one back here you can't see. So there's 2 that are coming in from backcountry. There's 4 more down there. So there are 6 that are not part of the stack that can rejoin this stack shortly. So I do have 19 cannon now, 160 infantry. I believe I've got about 40 down there that are kind of dealing with cleanup down there, but that doesn't count because they've got to stay down there to keep those keep my borders buttoned up. So I'm looking at close to 20 artillery, and at this point, what I'm saying is I'm going to go ahead and attack. I'm ready to go ahead and attack. So let's see if I really did. All right, so you'll be proud to see I did indeed attack. So by this time, I've conquered 2 of the outer ring territories, and I've attacked and conquered the middle oil field. That middle oil field is what's called a star field. It's 4 points to win the game. And of course, you do need 4 of those. So I've got 1 out of 4 now. I may be leading the game at this point. I'm not sure. But, and you can see I'm also kind of doing this side cleanup now. And really my goal is to then start marching towards Baghdad from here. Once I clean this up, and of course, one of the things you want to do over here is start building factories and railways on these right away. And the central oil field is a double-double. And what I mean by that is it is a monster oil producer. It is beautiful. It does produce 4 times the regular oil of a single oil tile. And if you build it up with maximum productivity, you're talking 13, 14,000 oil a day. It's beautiful. So as soon as I capture this, I'll be industrializing it and really take that kick to my economy because I'll need that for further industrial units. Remember, every mech unit has an upkeep of oil. So while there's a mech unit on the board, it's using up oil every day. And of course, you have to use oil to build them, lots of oil and steel. Now, remember when I said I was noob proof? Well, here's user 1705057 up here, and he attacked me. Let's zoom in and see what that attack is. All right, so here's the close-up of this attack. Let me just preview this by telling you. So the first thing that happened with this noob was one of his territories, in fact, the corner territory that's right next to his, rebelled over to me. And when it rebelled over to me, there was a cannon on it. So I gained a free cannon. And I went ahead and marched that cannon to the front. In fact, you remember when I had 8 cannon in the front stack there? That was 3 cannon from my original 3 factories and that bonus cannon. I forgot where that extra one came from. Because I did build a factory right behind my main front here. But that factory wasn't active yet. So that's where my 8 cannon came from. One of them was donated by Mr. Noob over here. So he then attacks me and goes to war with me. And so I sent him a message. I was like, hey, I didn't capture this territory. It just rebelled over to me. I'll leave. I had like 1 infantry that had just spawned there. So I was like, I'll leave. And I offered him peace and he took it. So I was like, okay, I get it. He didn't really understand. He thought maybe I had attacked him to take that or something. I remember when my first territory rebelled over to somebody, I was like, hey, what the heck is going on here? Didn't really understand the whole mechanics of morale and whatnot. So he declared war on me, and then we went back to peace. And then I wake up to this. Now, this is a terrible strategy because this is a cruiser, and cannon outrange cruisers. So this is me standing back with 8 cannon, 2 more on the way over here, to completely erase this idiot stack. Okay, just erase him. I had a couple infantry in each of these territories because I wasn't really trusting this guy that much, and I went ahead and ran them back a little bit. And all these guys are running up to just out of range, and they're going to gather over here. I have 1 cannon coming from over here who's going to engage this cruiser. But, cruisers are great. They're early game units. You only need a level 1 factory and a harbor. But they're also, they kind of suck in this kind of battle because, the cannon are already on the map, and I outrange them. So in this battle, I'll go ahead and spoiler alert, I killed all 51 of these infantry and both of his cruisers easily. Easily. I didn't lose anything. So, noob be noobin, just dumb noob stuff. Like, why are you attacking me? First of all, um, you know, there's really no reason at all to attack me. If we take a look at this guy, just kind of a little bit backfield here, he has access to his own oil field. That's what this is. This is him. He's almost within reach of it. And by the way, I went ahead and checked. This oil field had been attacked by 4 other player characters. So 4 other noobs around the map had attacked in and been repelled backwards. You know it because look how big this is. The AI, the oil field AI army only grows larger when somebody attacks them and then they counterattack. So this was actually ripe for the picking. If this guy knew how to play at all, he would attack against this weakened somebody, this army that has already been attacked 4 times. Instead, he comes at me. So this is now the second time he has declared war on me. All right. So obviously he needs a spanking. So welcome to the aftermath of his ill-conceived attack. And so what I've got here is just 2 cannon, 1 in each region here, with enough range to hold off anything that might be coming at me, right? So now I don't trust him. He's declared war and then gone to peace with me twice now. So thinking surely not again, but you know what? Got to keep some people posted there. So these 3 territories are posted against further aggression. So just for a little bit of an update, this is a cruiser. By this time, you can't see it now, but I had seen it earlier. By this time in the game, I'm just saying, why? Why is he building more boats that will easily be outranged by my cannon? Maybe he doesn't understand the idea of range. I don't know. But here's the other kicker. Here's the other great thing, is that these cruisers can only attack into some of these closer territories. I don't think it can even attack into this. And all of the other territories, all of my other territories are too far away for him to attack. Now, I'm keeping stuff here and a little bit here because if he'll come across with cruisers, he'll come across with infantry. I don't know at this point. I can't trust him, right? So let's see what's going on in the center of the map. All right, you can see here in the oil field, this is when the game really starts rolling. This is when you can break up your army into divisions. Each division should have at least a couple artillery. And you can see, of course, what I'm doing here is posting up my ground units in front of my artillery. In case he runs up, he cannot get to my artillery to engage them. Of course, when you engage artillery, it renders them pretty much useless, at least for attack. And then I'm doing the same up here and the same down here. And this whole thing is moving down. There's another territory down here. So there's not much to say here. I don't want to waste a lot of time. But what's going on here is I'm starting to build railroads and factories to get this production zone squarely churning out material. Because from this point on, I'm swarming the island and I want to get to Baghdad. When I get to Baghdad, I want to have a lot of stuff. So that's the plan right now. So I'm just breaking into divisions and marching as fast as I can east and developing this, what I call a power core, because as you can see, it has building materials and it has food and it has the mega oil material here. So let's go on to the next video. All right, so between the last video and this video, lots changed. And let me tell you about it. Let me tell you all about it. So I was so occupied with dealing, obviously I had to deal with this noob once and for all. And I was so occupied with that I didn't cast for like a week and a half or something. So there's a big gap. Obviously, I had just taken over this oil field, was marching eastward towards Baghdad. And by now you can see I've got it all taken. I've completely defeated this army, which is great news for me, obviously, because you don't like being at war with anyone. So once you finally defeat the garrison, it's a good feeling. Also, one of my neighbors here has attacked over and completely defeated the garrison, the sort of local garrison that you initially end up attacking, the Ottomans over here. So that's 2 less Ottomans that I'm at war with, and that's 10 morale points that I do not have subtracted. However, fun story. Mr. Newberton attacked me again, a 3rd time, went to war with me a 3rd time. And, I easily swatted him back because he's coming at me with cruisers, boats, coming at me with boats. I have played this Mesopotamia game a lot, and I'm just not a fan of boats. They're just not. You can only be in the canals, and I just they're limited range. Most of the action happens far, far away from the water, so I'm just not a big fan of boats. And this guy didn't know how to employ them. You know, you saw when I was attacking him, he could have moved his boats forward and at least forced me to kite backwards, but he didn't. He just sat there and died. So that's kind of what happened the second time, although this time he came at me with battleships, but again, didn't really understand. He had one battleship, a couple cruisers, and he came at me again. And obviously, it's like, I'm just going, gosh, I just want to attack eastward. But now, by this point in the game, I've got tanks and cannon continuously marching to the front, and I've got my power core online. It's starting to produce cannon, lots and lots of artillery. So easily pushed him back. And then I thought, once I pushed him back, I thought, this is the third time he's attacked me. This is the third time. And so I thought once, I'm so against being at war. And I tried to make this a noob-proof game. I did not want to be at war with anyone. Thought about giving him another chance, and then I thought, no. 3 times? He attacked me without provocation 3 times? No. So I went ahead and crossed with a big force, and lo and behold, what did I find right on the other side of the canal? A rail gun. MFer had a rail gun, and it was moving towards me, getting ready to shell across. Now, a railgun actually could be pretty effective in this game. You can shell across the canal, but not in his case, because I was coming after him. So once I knocked down what was in front of me, started going into his backcountry, he had factories like in 10 of his provinces back here. He had harbors in almost all of his riverfront territories. And of course, he'd built, like, I don't know, by that time, 5 or 6 cruisers, a battleship, and a railgun. So my dude was gold marking hard. Okay, gold marking like a mofo. He has no oil field, no double oil. And of course, don't forget the 4 territories surrounding that super oil. It's really a double-double. Each of those are doubles, right? So I've got, what I like to think of it is, I've got 4 on the ring, 4 doubles, and then 2 more doubles in the middle. So you've really got 6 double territories. And of course, 2 of those 6 are oils. 2 of those doubles are oils. And that's really precious in this game. So you can see what I've done here is I've pushed him back. I'm about to take this last territory. You can see some of my artillery striking in. Once he's eliminated from this region, I'll post just a few guards here against anybody else who wants to get froggy in the region, and come back and start to think about a containment system. So you've got to contain this guy. He's going to leave the game soon because he does what every noob does, which is attacks you until you swat him back and then goes away. And then the AI takes over, and the AI almost never goes back to peace with you. It almost always stays at war with you until the very end of the game. So I'm considering my options of how to contain this guy at this point in the game. All right, here in the next video, you can see I have contained the noob, and he's still sending stuff out, so I'm going to have to fortify this position. You'll notice I'm not in this position, and I'm not occupying this territory, and the reason for that is you just don't want to be within striking distance. So what happens a lot of times is almost always, eventually, these are all railway territories. You can't quite see the rails, but maybe you can. Eventually, he'll build a goddamn railgun. And it's frustrating because his railgun will just sit there and just rain down, and you can't do anything about it. You can't attack it. These home 8 territories in this mode are what's called impregnable. You cannot attack into them. You cannot attack anything that is in them. So I always try to build a no man's land between. Now, here's what I noticed something. I notice that the noob, who's probably gone by now, I can't remember if it's AI now or not, but it will be soon if it's not, is attacking this guy. And so I immediately think, if I let my enemy recapture this and then bomb it out with artillery, there is a chance that this player will come over and attack it and occupy that territory for me. That is the ideal scenario, to have a buffer between me and the guy I'm trying to contain. So that was kind of my hope at this point. That's why I took this and then I kind of regretted it, backed up. And so I'm hoping either the noob will come out and recapture it. Well, that's what would have to happen. And then I would bomb it out and then have this guy who is at war with the noob come in and take this. By the way, this player, whoever that is, I can't remember what country, is also AI by this time in the game. So he's already left, but his AI is at war with my noob. But so that's the first thing we got to see over here, is that this guy is beaten back completely and contained. And I'm hoping now to get a third party country in here to occupy, sort of be my prison guard, basically, is what it is. Let's go look at the larger attack force near Baghdad. But before we go to Baghdad and kind of see what's happening over there, I just wanted to bounce you over here real quick to see. Typically, I will have railways down to get that plus 33% production bonus on those double tiles. And by this phase of the game, you can see I've already got them up to level 4 factories. And right around now is when I shift to air. So you can see a bomber building there. With this abundance of industrial resources that I've got now, 2 foods, 2 building, and a quadruple oil, I will be churning out the air. And air is what I'm going to be using in abundance to take Baghdad. So let's go check out the forces around Baghdad. All right, so here's what's happening at Baghdad. And you can see I've got a giant stack here. And this 62 includes a bunch of tanks, I think about 20 cannon, and a few armored cars as well. And then I've got sort of minimal stacks here, and there's another territory that I have bordering down here that has another minimal stack. So I'm really going to punch in all in one strike here, and I can already see here, which means that this is a level 1 fort here. I can see what's in there, and I really do outnumber him by quite a bit. However, it is concerning to me because I know what happens is you attack in, and then tons of troops from all the adjacent territories, and even the territories 2 or 3 over, just start streaming in. And Baghdad, I believe, I want to say Baghdad has at least 1,000 troops, probably more like 2,000, and just a ton of artillery. It is a beast to attack into. So I do not feel ready to attack in yet. Worse yet, there is another country over here that's sort of creeping up and acting like he's going to attack in. This is the only time I will attack another player character, is if I'm going for Baghdad and I've got enough to back it up. If I've got a nice beefy army, I'll take Baghdad. And then if you try to take one of the side territories, I'll take that from you. I'll take it from you. And the thing about Baghdad is, because it's at the center of the map here, let me back it off a little bit here. Because it's at the center of the map, I believe this is the country that's this is the country that's macking in. I think it's Morocco, kind of macking in on me here. Well, if I go to war with him, all I really have to do is destroy him back to the water line and then fortify the water line. So I don't have to worry about that sort of homeland. His homeland is a long way away from me. And if I really wanted to, I could attack him all the way back to here and then set up a single guard territory because there's a choke point there. So the point being, though, I want all of Baghdad. Okay, I fought hard for it and I won it. And I have a huge advantage over Morocco because I have that oil field over here that's just churning out. Now it's churning out bombers and fighters as well as all those resources. So feeling good. Let's see what happens next. All right, so this is video 16 of 27. So we've got about 10 more after this. So what's happening here is I'm going ahead and attacking in. I'm attacking in with 39 cannon, 209 infantry, 23 tanks, and 3 horses. So got some guys hanging back to protect against a possible counterattack, a probable counterattack. Coming in strong here. Now, why are my cannon all the way back here? Because the cannon only have a very short distance to travel, and it's all on friendly territory. Whereas these guys have to travel a long way, relatively long way, on enemy territory at 1/3 speed. So what I've done is I've timed it to where my land units will attack about a minute before my artillery attacks. The reason for that, of course, is that my land units will engage whatever cannon are in here so that they cannot attack my cannon. They cannot, you cannot throw ordnance over people who are engaged with your cannon. So that's the purpose here. If you ever attack in with a big army, attack in with your land units first, engage that cannon, and then time it to where your cannons show up just right after that and start raining in hellfire. So let's see what happens. All right, so this is the immediate aftermath of when I attacked in. I was able to capture this territory. I had flown some planes over it, and I saw that inside of the territory was I want to say at the most about 130 infantry. So this is after a huge attack. This is after me suffering pretty significant casualties, and there's still 126 in there. So he has lost a lot of infantry there. And like I say, though, they just keep on streaming the infantry in hundreds upon hundreds. That's why you have to make sure you got a lot of stuff coming in here. Keep in mind, this whole time I've got 39 artillery just raining down on them. So, but once I have this foothold and numerical superiority, I know I'm going to keep this. I'm going to build a fort there, and then from now on, I'm like a bad disease. I'm just going to keep spreading. And just while I was celebrating that I had taken over the first of the ring territories, I noticed this little chicanery crapola over here. 118 infantry and an armored car, just for fun, attacking into the side territory. Now, it is a level 5 fort, and I do have 27 with 4 armored cars. Each of those armored cars is double infantry in terms of defense, and this 15 will probably get here in time to be part of the defense. But the fact is, consider this, what, like 33, and then bring in 48 against 118. It's just not going to stand. I could take this cannon and let it stay out here and rain in, but it's going to be a very close fight, and it will probably slant towards the guy who has more than twice the troops I have, just to the attrition. You know, it's one of those things where, like, once the stacks get big enough, even if you have sort of that, I don't know, ratio, you know, like, even I would just say more than twice what you've got, kind of, you need to be frightened. But when there's a lot of them, and, you know, I've only got like 30, 40 infantry, every time he attacks, I'm going to have, you know, then 35 infantry, and then 30, and then, you know, so forth and so on. Whereas he's just getting knocked down to 112, 110, whatever. So it's not looking good for me here, I got to say. And this is what the AI does, that son of a bitch. He always comes out with a big stack and slaps you in the bottom. It's almost like he's spanking you. That's my trick, man. I'm King Spankerton. All right, so let's see what happens next. All right, so we're back with the next video. And before we go back to what's happening close to Baghdad, let's come over here to where the noob is. By the way, he is now firmly AI. He has done tucked his leg, his leg between his tails, his tail between his legs, and, you know, run off. And now he's AI. But look what's happening. My fondest dreams are coming true. So this guy who is at war with my noob enemy is attacking in to the territory that I have cleared. So I let him take it. He ran out like the AI always does, captured it, and then I went ahead and proceeded to just rain down and destroy him, but I didn't take it back. Instead, this guy's taking it, and I am overjoyed because now I have that buffer zone. Now, normally that wouldn't matter if this was a vengeful human back here. He could build a railgun and shoot over, you know, this border guard or whatever, but the AI doesn't do that. The AI is just going to attack the closest enemy, and since this AI, this gray AI, is at war with my noob enemy, if any railgun is developed, he'll attack this guy first, and I'll be alerted and I can back off. So I'm loving this. I've got my guards in place. So let's go see what's happening over by Baghdad. Okay, as I look at this, I can tell I did skip several days. So what ended up happening was that big stack did in fact capture this, and I believe even went back and captured this. There was a little bit of bleed through there. However, again, because I'm streaming stuff constantly from my big oil field and from my original 3 factories in my backcountry, there's just always material coming forward. So I went ahead and mustered them a little bit back and then just conquered in. And you can see I've got this entire region gathered here. You can see I have 103 infantry, some tanks, and 13 artillery that I sent to kind of mop up the situation. I did pull from over here a little bit, but that's actually going to leave me in a pretty good position because I'm going to have a nice big army over here with, it looks like 30, maybe even more artillery, but I think I pulled some of these artillery to come over here and attack. But anyway, this is a nice stack over here that can start to attack either around the rim or into Baghdad. Now, my typical thing is attack directly into Baghdad because it's the star. I want the star. I've got 1 star. Now I'll have 2, and that leaves me with only 2 more to get. And once you've got that star, you've got it. And this is the quadruple double oil field. It is insane. This is the oil field that everybody dreams of having. It produces so much oil. So once you capture it, you really start to build it up industrial wise, and you really start to, the oil is just flowing. And, once I'll say this, if I can get Baghdad here, in addition to my island oil field, and if I can get all of Baghdad to myself, I would say in some ways the game is over at that point. But let's go ahead and see how this works out, because I will have a sizable force over here that can start peeling around the edge, and another force that can attack into the center. Let's see what happens next. All right, wop, wop, wah. That's my villain laugh. So what's happening is this, I learned this was Argentina because I'm watching some of these videos in the background to kind of get some context here. This is Argentina. Argentina did, in fact, capture this territory. So now I've got a fighter flying over here, a fighter flying over here, just for vision. And these, you can't see it, but these cannons have range just beyond here. So these are like the bodyguards. And I've got the same thing going on over here. These cannons have range just beyond over here. So I've got my guards in place, and then I've got cannons there to support my guards. Now, something else that's going on in this region is I've got a cannon stack just outside here, and then I'm going to bring this other cannon stack behind. The theory being this: I'm going to have two cannon behind, so that if by chance he comes out with cannon and starts attacking me, then I won't lose the cannon inside the fort. Then I'm going to have some cannons off to the side, and that's always a good idea, because they cannot be confronted, they cannot be engaged with melee combat, and yet they have a range well over to here. And what usually happens is the AI sends out streams of infantry. So I'll have cannon positioned over here, ready to murder anybody who comes down that road. You can already see a lot of pockmarks from the cannon destroying infantry that's been filing out. Let's go check out Baghdad. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. Happy days. Things are good. Right, 21 tanks here, 148 infantry, 38 cannon. So apparently I kept the majority of the cannon over there. And yeah, he's streaming stuff in, because they always do, from here, 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 and here. But guess what? I'm going to take this territory before he gets there. And what that's going to do is slow him down to 1/3 speed, because all of a sudden it will become enemy territory for him. What I'll do is I'll move in my cannon, who will suddenly be going 25 kilometers per unit. And all of his infantry will suddenly be going 12 per unit, or per kilometers per hour. Whoa, what just happened? So my cannon will be moving twice the speed of him, which is weird, but that's what happens when enemy territory flips to friendly, or vice versa. So my artillery will be able to get close enough to just be raining in on these guys as they close in. I will be able to defend Baghdad. However, look what's going on over here. Yet another huge push over here. This force that I have coming in on this side will crumble. I can just tell. I can look at it. Looks like we got about 82 infantry here, another 187 over here. I just don't have enough coming in. I thought most of the resistance would be in the middle. That's why I sent in this huge stack of cannon, along with most of my tanks into here, but I was wrong. So I'm going to lose this territory, and he's probably going to push me back yet again. Let's see what happens. All right, so as predicted, he did capture back into my territory, but I'm holding him over here. And it's just because I'm streaming in more stuff all the time. I now have bombers on the map, and they're adding their own sort of vicious destruction to this whole thing. I'm coming in now with some of the peripheral forces that I had positioned defensively, because I'm feeling secure enough that nobody's going to come streaming out. Also, as you can see, I'm attacking in over here to prevent, and it looks like this is Spain, who's using right-of-way with Morocco to kind of hover threateningly. Not today. Not today, bitch. So I'm going to capture both of these right out from under him, so he has no access to the oil fields any longer. So things are going well. I was able to keep the central territory. I now have the second star, and I now have all that oil. All that beautiful oil is flowing into my resource regions, whatever the hell that means. So I will be capturing this back. It was unfortunate that I got pushed back in this region, but sometimes you kind of do have to take some losses to gain that foothold in especially Baghdad. Baghdad's just a beast. Look at all those troops. I mean, I'm still not guaranteed to get these, but boy, those 18 cannon here and 18 cannon here really do help. All right, let's see what happens next. Will I capture all of Baghdad? And yes, I do capture Baghdad. Okay, I haven't got it all yet, but my gosh, look at this. So From listening to the background from this video, there are currently 8 bombers that are on the field, and 5 more are in production. And I've got 3 heavy tanks in production. So I'm really starting to ramp up that industrial advantage. And boy, howdy, once I get all of these online, there are 8 double tiles in the ring around this. And then, of course, the quadruple double, or you can think of it an ocho, an 8 times tile of oil. So once I get this industrial power up and running, it is monstrous. It will fuel my entire war machine for the rest of this game. So this is a big win, and I did get all of them. I have played games where I've lost like 3 or 4 to another competing character, player character, and there wasn't really much I could do about it because he was coming with a big army. I came with just enough to capture what I got, and I just had to be happy with the star, right? But this is one of those games where I knew I would get there before anyone else because I took that side route. I went straight to the island, captured that first natural expansion, and then came directly to Baghdad and captured it before anyone else was even kind of ready. If you'll notice, Spain down here has 2 artillery and like 28 infantry. No, sorry, that's not going to do the trick. I went ahead and supercharged my army with that first oil field, and then with all those resources and those additional factories, I went ahead and powered through to Baghdad. So this is textbook. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. I'm loving it. All right, we'll come back next time and see what happens next. All right, so the next video here, you can see I've cleaned up Baghdad, and I've done what I like to do, which is on any potential entry points, I go ahead and start building a level 1 fortification. And some of them, when you take over, they're already building a factory. So I just let those factories build because I have enough material in the region. So if somebody tries to attack in, I'm not super concerned. Now, what you don't know, or maybe you do, is this is the AI. This is the Ottoman army over here. Nobody ever attacked this side of Baghdad except for down here. And there's nothing really stacked against me that's that threatening. So I'm not feeling super threatened. So what I'll do is I'll put 2, maybe 3 cannon in each of these ring territories that are adjacent to anything. You can see this is not adjacent, this is not, and this is not. This cannon is actually moving into the middle. And then I'll put a nice secure stack in the middle just for, like if I fall asleep and something crazy happens, I don't want to lose Baghdad, the core of it. So this is my standard defensive position that I have early in the capturing sort of season of capture, and it works well for me. I just keep small but potent forces and try to build up at least to say level 2 or 3 fortifications. But sometimes if I don't feel threatened, I go right to production. I go right to factories, railways, and so forth. So it depends on what's happening regionally, because if I can, I'll go right to production and get these resources online, get my economy supercharged. One of the things I just heard myself saying was that I have 16 bombers at this point in the game, 1 more in production, so that'll be 17 bombers, and 3 fighters in production, in addition to, I believe, 3 fighters on the map. So I'm starting to think defensively, although by this time, I don't really have any serious hardcore competitors in the game that might be building a competing air force. So I'm just building fighters at this point, really, just for extra careful defense, but even more so probably just to set them on patrol to have good vision on the map. So let's see what happens next. All right, so here's a view from the next video of Baghdad Central here. And what's happening here is now I've got factories on all the outer ring territories. So I've got 8 factories around this central factory. So I've got 9 factories in this entire industrial district that are just churning out whatever my little heart desires. So you can see I've built 1 railgun in the middle. I've got another railgun over here that's going to travel to the middle. And one of the beauties of this game, one of my favorite things of this game, is that a railgun will cover all of the ring territories with its range. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. If I hold on to Baghdad long enough, I like to build like 10 railguns in the middle just to have that ridiculously long range with forts in front of it. So like you've got to capture into a fort with railguns attacking you, not to mention whatever local artillery is backed up and attacking you. So I love this. I love having this much industrial might at one time. Let's check around the map because some other stuff's going on. Okay, this is the other big news lately from this map. So I actually waited, I think, a couple weeks before I cast this video. So a lot of time has passed, and mainly because I hadn't really come up against anything of note. So I went ahead and cast this because I finally come up against this other oil field. This is the oil field that newbie McNuberton over here should have attacked at the very beginning of the game. So I finally made my way back around over here, and I figured since I've already, captured into this region, I had a bunch of his territory. And by the way, I think I failed to mention that he had built a bunch of factories. I went ahead and rebuilt them. So I've got a lot of industrial power just sort of in some of these random territories over here. So I've been building a lot of just artillery, sort of first and second level factory stuff, because I've had other areas that I wanted to concentrate my factory growth in, namely those double tiles in Baghdad. But it's been a natural place for me to expand because I already have a lot of territory. And as I mentioned, he was only like 1 or 2 territories away from being within striking distance of this oil field. Furthermore, this is an AI. This is the original garrison that had been attacked. Remember, I said they had been attacked 4 times, and they just kept on growing. It's rare to see a garrison get this big. Usually someone defeats it. So in this particular game, this garrison was just left alone to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. So as I'm attacking along here, I'm having to take on a much more beefed up AI opponent here. But as you can see, I'm advancing towards my 3rd star at this point. Also, by this point, I've got a lot of airplanes on the map. I had 16 or 17 bombers, and that was 2 weeks ago. The last video we checked in. So I believe I'll see if there's anything else of note in this video, and then we'll go on to the next one. All right, we are on the last 3 videos, 3 more videos to go. So in this one, you can tell a couple things have happened. I did go ahead and capture the oil field over here. I consider this a local oil field. Each of the quadrants has a local oil field. I went ahead and did capture that and moved on back. While that happened, I did have another AI declare war on me, which does happen in this game. As you progress, you just have more and more AIs attack you. This AI over here, who has been continuously adjacent to me, has also declared war on me. But even though it's a fairly large-sized country that declared war on me, I've got this entire airfield and all 3 of my home factories that I can just churn out whatever I need to destroy him and push him back. So it's not really that serious of a threat. It's something that is to be expected at this stage in the game. So 2 more territories did declare war on me. This hold is maintaining. You can see another infantry over here. I laughed about it in the videos. I've got about 6 or 7 artillery over here that have kill rates of like 180 or something. And I just laugh. It's like I'm Britain in this game. It's just like 2 British guys sitting on a hill, just like murdering people like all day long, every day. Like that's it. Nobody ever gets to the actual fort. It's like whoever's in here is like, okay, let's send out another troop. And they're like, well, really? Like, we saw what happened to the other 180 guys who went out there. Are you sure? And they're like, yep, you better go. Yep, time to head out. Did you pack a lunch? But anyway, it's fun. The kill rate there was just insane. My little helpers here guarding my enemy has been holding. And I did go ahead and set up frontiers here of some nice big stacks. And I was thinking about moving on into here so that I could kind of have a choke point to defend and then not worry about pushing this guy any further back. Was tempted to take all of this so that I'd only have 1 territory to defend against any future aggression. But then I thought, I've got 3 stars now, right? I've got the first one, Baghdad, and then I went ahead and took this one and marched on through to defeat that entire garrison army. It's gone now. And so I'm just now at war with 3 former player characters that are now AI. And you can see one down here actually even kind of attacked in here and gained a little bit of territory from me. But then, of course, I captured it right back. All right, 2 more videos after this. What will happen? All right, second to the last video. This video I hadn't casted again in like a couple weeks. because really what I'm doing at this stage of the game is I am just churning out the material for my final push. And you can see I'm ready for my final push. I went ahead and decided to concentrate all of my forces down here and capture this airfield. And the main reason, of course, is proximity to my capital and proximity to all of my industrial development. So I can get stuff there faster. So there was some temptation to maybe come over here and capture the other island oil field, or potentially even push through and capture the other local quadrant, but it just made more sense, really. It's kind of an easy decision to go ahead and go for this as my 4th star. So let's zoom in and see some things a little closer. All right, so this is a close-up of that invasion force for that 4th star. And what happens here is I take over this territory as a beachhead, and then I just start stacking heavily here. So there's already 200 infantry, 31 cannon, and assorted tanks. And by the way, 5 and 5 is beautiful. Those are the 5 that can stand on the front line and achieve maximum damage. So this is a potent little stack here. It's probably enough to punch into the 4th star by itself, but I will be reaching over and gathering a bunch of other stuff, including a huge air force. By this time, I've got like 30 bombers, and they're all going to fly over here and be ready to attack in. This is a nice little stack here. I'm going to move most of my stuff from this production ring in and really start to prep for that final push. So I'm just going to kind of flip through here, flip forward. This is that board. Some of these are border skirmishes that I'm talking about in the video. But yeah, you can kind of see I just have vast area. And this is that 3rd oil field I took up in the higher quadrant there. And I'm kind of outlining some of my defensive maneuvering over here, and then starting to strike out over here to kind of push back and you know, get some movement room for stuff I produce in the backfield over there. But that's about it for this video, frankly. Yeah, you can see what's going on here. I'm marshaling all these troops, and I believe, yeah, I think what I did is I went ahead and made a push against, I think this is France over here, that went ahead and declared war on me. I think I made a push against them, but let's go ahead and look at the next video and find out. All right, here we go. I have conquered back all of this stuff, which opens the way for invasion into my 4th. And what I have over here, you can't see it, but I've got, this has been another couple weeks. We're at like day 85 or something now. I've got 5 railguns because I've got these 3 mighty factories over here that I just keep on churning out other stuff, but like 1 or 2 railguns per round. And they've been stacking over here. So I've got these railguns that are just sort of protecting this corner and leaving a corridor through here. And that's pretty important because that's where I want to send all my reinforcements in here for an attack into this 4th. All right, once again, this is fast forwarded several weeks because by this point, there's no real challenger in the game. What I've done by this point is I have withdrawn most of my troops into the other 3 star territories, with the exception of this one. I didn't feel a need to strongly defend this because I've got a lot of troops over here sort of in this region containing this guy. And there's so much area. There's just so much land between this threat and anybody who could get here. But I do have a lot of stuff here, and I'm attacking him with a fair amount of stuff here. So let's just take a look at that, and then we'll call it a day. If you want to go over and see the final video, the end screen, you're welcome to go over to the playlist Dominion Domination. But really all it is showing the winning screen. It's really no big deal. So let's check out the details, and then we'll bounce out of here. First of all, there is the defeat into the 4th star, and that really would not have been possible without heavy air support. Look at this, 29 bombers here, 28 bombers over here. By this stage of the game, I just have such a huge advantage over everyone else. It's just ridiculous. And the best way to leverage that is through heavy air. If you've got the kind of production power that I had late in this game, throw it into bombers, because they just destroy so quickly and so efficiently. So this is my attack into the 4th star there. This is my defense at Baghdad, which was potentially vulnerable. So at this late stage of the game, you can see there's a day and 15 uh, hours before I win. A lot of times everyone attacks because there's no reason not to attack at this point in the game. Everyone should attack, in fact, because one guy's about to win. So throw everything you've got at the person. So this was my most precious and really most vulnerable because that Baghdad was adjacent to several other potential attackers. So I've got the 10 railguns. I freaking love it. In the middle of this giant 8-ring, 54 cannon, 856 infantry, and then a bunch of fighters just sort of in rotation about like a halo. So I also love that position. That's going to do it for us, guys. There's really not much more to say, frankly. You can see it all from up here. All I have to do is hold on to this for a day and 15 hours, which I did easily. There's really nobody who is even within range at this point to even get there in time to counter me. So this has been fun. If you like this, I can actually do this kind of video, this kind of light speed video for a lot of things. I've got several subscriber games that I cast from the very beginning to the very end. As I get better at this, perhaps I can be more efficient and move it along quicker so that you can have shorter videos that you can watch. But I love this idea of this is what I'm showing you here is a 90+ day game. This is a 3-month game that we've covered in just a short amount of time. If I'm able to make this work, I think it'll be revolutionary because people will actually be able to watch this game without being super bored. You know, like nothing happens for the longest amount of times. So that's my goal, and I think I can refine this and make it better as we go. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this something you want to see more of? And if so, I'm all about it. I'm excited about this. So thanks for checking in, guys. I really appreciate you showing up as always, and I'll see you all next time. Adios, amigos.